you guys. And so I'll jump around a little bit. All you're really going to see on the screen here is a series of bullet points. First, because I'm really stupid when it comes to technology. Thanks to Lavender for putting this together, because I did not do it. I think I even sent her a piece of paper with some scratch on it, and this is what she came up with. But there is a disclaimer, right? For every class I teach, I try to say this. There's a lot of different ways to teach real estate. So anything I say today, if you're like, well, that won't work, or that won't work for me, you might be right. You might be wrong too. Just understand that there's a lot of different ways to get at it. I'm not saying don't buy leads or anything like that. I'm giving you an alternative and a difference of opinion. It's strictly opinion-based. It comes from the success that I've had using these philosophies. I am a direct product of the giver's game. Okay, so what is the giver's game principle? It's pretty basic. It's focusing your attention on the needs and wants of others instead of a self-centered approach to generosity. A lot of what maybe we're informally coached by all the professional coaches in the world on social media is that you should live your best life. What you want matters. Your feelings matter. All of that's true. But my personal opinion is when we go too far down that road, we're saying that other people are not important. We're almost glorifying ourselves as if our wants and needs are more important than those of the people around us. I personally don't agree with that philosophy just as a human being, but I think when it comes to real estate, if you can shift your mindset and say, well, wait a minute, my job is to help other people. How do I do that while thinking less and less about myself and more about these people each day? And the hard part to say is that you should plan to give more than you receive. I think we like to measure what we give, and then we say, okay, if I give this, then my return is going to be this. If you got a money market account or something like that, that's a good philosophy. But I don't think that you're going to be able to say, okay, if I make 7 phone calls of service, I'm going to make $23,000. I think the better philosophy is to plan on giving more than you receive, because it affirms your grateful nature and it prevents entitlement. It is impossible to be grateful and entitled at the same time. It is not physically possible. You can't do both. And at the end of the day, our job, I think we've forgotten this over the last few years, our job is to be connected. Our job is to be connected in the community, to have the go-tos that people need, and it's to serve. I guess in the essence of the theme, I'll throw a couple of corny quotes. Most of you guys know Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, older public speakers, big motivation guys, but these were like the CDs that I was listening to when I first got into real estate. So I try to include some of that. Jim Rohn said, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. He also said that only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have. And Zig Ziglar said, gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions. The more you express gratitude for what you have, the more likely you will have even more to express gratitude for. So that takes us to the 3 types of givers. I had never seen this before. I did some research, and according to one study, there's 3 types of givers. The first is a grudge giver. A grudge giver says, I have to give. And I tried really hard to come up with some examples, but the best example I could come up with for this is Ebenezer Scrooge at the beginning of the story. Like, to give 1 penny to anybody, he's like, I gotta do it. The next is a duty giver. A duty giver is, I'm forced to give. I do it, but I don't really want to. This could be with money, but I think it's better thought of with time or resources, right? Like, my time is so precious right now, I can't help that person that really needs it because I have this self-centered need that I need to meet right now. Well, what's standing on the other side of that versus what's on the other side over here? And then the thankful givers. The thankful givers are people that, like, they want to give. I don't even know why to tell you, right? Like, they know what it looks like on the other side, or a million other kind of rebuttals. But I wrote, like, this is Scrooge at the end of the story. Like, he ran the gauntlet, 3 spirits came to him, all that good stuff. At the end of the story, he's running around skipping, smiling. He'd give everything he had away. You know what I mean? Kind of went full circle. And the idea is for us as realtors to at least come across as thankful givers. So what's the giver's game in real estate? We're blessed with time, connections, and resources to help others. And the more we help others, the more they get to know us, who we are, and specifically how they can help us. I promise you, if you try to serve someone at some point in the conversation, they're going to say, hey man, how can I help you? What can I do for you? You're so helpful. And remember that the help isn't always in referrals. We'll talk more about that. The three aspects of B2B in real estate: first, business partner relationships; second, networking groups; third, business mixers. These are three ways to leverage groups of people and to get everybody you need in your affiliate database. And so with that, the top two assets you have, and I alluded to this earlier, it's your time and your service. So how you leverage those assets: time, shocker, calls, visits, notes, and follow-up. Follow-up is critical. I think a lot of us as realtors, we do the first thing that we shy away from the follow-up because we feel like we're bothering people. I've never heard a group of people that feels like they're bothering others more than realtors. But when they need us, they sure do call us, right? When the clients need anything from us. So in terms of service, making connections, utilizing those affiliations, getting involved in your community, and serving your database are the primary ways to utilize that service asset. So you can, we do this, TSG does this. We like to create campaigns. I try to take objections, and instead of telling people they're wrong, I try to find a way to maybe do what they want to do to see what happens, or because it sounds like it might actually be effective. And one of the things that we try to do is we try to come up with as many campaigns as possible. You can call them giving campaigns. That sounds kind of corny, but essentially each one has a name. So right now, we're coming out of a season where a holiday prep team could come in handy, right? There's a certain amount of preparations that people are going to be doing to their homes for the holidays. And in some affluent areas, people might be looking for vendors to help them with this because they have limited time, but they have funds to spend on stuff like that. Well, I'm going to create a campaign that says, hey, here's the guy that's done Christmas lights in our neighborhood. Here's a landscaper that can get rid of all of your leaves. I don't know, what's one more we could throw in there?
Clean your house.
Somebody to clean your house. Everybody always needs their house cleaned. So it's not hard to do, right? It's what season are we in? We're coming up on spring. That's easy money. HVAC contractor, power washer, landscaper, right? Like, you're connected. You're just offering your connections to your clients, even if they didn't ask for it, right? We're serving. I even wrote down educators, first responders. Any of these are groups that give you a reason for contact and include affiliates. All right, so that brings us to the nerdy triangle of giving. So the way this works, and I alluded to this earlier, I think a lot of us are kind of like, well, from the affiliate, if I can't get referrals, I'm going to wait until I find somebody that'll send me referrals. Let me know how that works out, because I don't know how much time that will or won't take, and I'm not willing to take that risk. I've learned to expect something different from both my clients and my affiliates. I've got the referral, right? Maybe the client reached out. Let's say Benjamin's got this. The client reached out to Benjamin and said, hey, Benjamin, coming up on spring, my HVAC's acting a little bit funny. I know I need to get my power washed. I think I got a few things I need to do. And Benjamin says, well, we're gonna have this spring prep team that we put together because there's a lot of people out there like you. Let me just send you what I've got, and I'll give you a call tomorrow to kind of find out who I need to call on your behalf. Benjamin gathers the info, then he calls the right affiliates, tells them what he's got going on, tells them who these people are to him, right? Like, lays a story down. And the affiliate goes out to serve. Benjamin, maybe he expects referrals depending on the relationship, but I think at the beginning, you're still getting to know each other. In a few years, maybe referrals come your way, but what you want from this affiliate is quality service and affirmation that you run a first-class business. And if that affiliate is doing that for you, that's the right expectations. Referrals are the icing on top of that, right? But what you want is every time somebody calls you, you want somebody that's lights out, that's an ambassador of how you do business dealing with your client. But why? And that's actually a question. Why? Ariel.
It's an extension of you.
It is. Verification of how you run your business and who you work with and who you trust enough to send to somebody else's house. 100%. But there's dozens of reasons. That's why I asked the question. And there's probably not even a wrong answer. What else? Great answer.
I think it reinforces that the next time they need something else, that they'll call you again.
Strong. Yeah, for like anything, right? Like, I can help you with this, and I'm sorry if I didn't educate you better in this realm, but when I signed up to be a realtor, I want you to call me anytime you need anything. The dumber you think it is, the stronger I want your will to call.
Communication. So if your affiliates communicate the same way, or they actually answer their phones, a lot of contractors are slow to answer phones and not return phone calls, but you give them that background and they're much more likely to reach out to your client and service them properly.
100%. 100%. Through the communication, like Kev said, we have to be making contacts, and we need to be making direct contacts that result in enhancing relationships. But through these phone calls, right, the phone calls to the clients, to the affiliates, the follow-up, you're occupying more mind space in that affiliate's mind and in your client's mind. And that's our business, right? We need to occupy mind space when the time comes for people to want to buy and sell a home. I think this is a great way to do it. The nerdy triangle of giving.
Larry, could I guess, add on to what you're saying? It's so, the service and affirmation part is so important. When I first started with networking and this whole idea of like the giver's game, like I think either they used a lot or they came up with the phrase the giver's game, but B and I used that all the time, right? And so when I started like with networking, I was gung-ho on like, if this person's not gonna refer me, I'm not gonna refer them. It worked for some people, but it's not a good long-term strategy at all. So I talked through this with my Buffini coach a couple of years ago and ultimately settled on they are a good relationship for your business partner database or affiliate database, whatever you want to call it, if they check one and or two boxes. One is they refer you, or two, they provide excellent service and like what you said, they're an ambassador for your business. Because that's really how we're gonna get referrals. I mean, the clients are always gonna give us the most referrals. They're always the largest group of referral sources. But if you come back to your affiliates, they're gonna give you more.
100%. So many of these contacts produce stories that we never hear, and like phone conversations between neighbors and friends and stuff that we're never involved in, but that's how a lot of business can come our way, right? So let's take the beauty of FOMO. I like talking about FOMO because I know it's real. Like if someone sees something else that someone else is doing, they're like, I want to do that so bad. So your neighbor calls you about a few things they need to get the house spruced up for the spring. You refer them to these quality contractors, and then for 2 or 3 days, people are over there like gangbusters, and when they walk away, the house looks different. FOMO, right? You know those neighbors are looking. Of course they are. Then through conversation over a drink or a barbecue or something, they're like, hey man, we saw you did this stuff with the house, and the person says, yeah, all I really did was call my realtor. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, yeah, I kind of called him and told him what I need. That's kind of the relationship that we have. Once I told him what he needed, he had people reach out to me directly, and they gave me reasonable rates. I think reasonable is a very good word, not low, cheap, inexpensive, or whatever. He made it really easy on me. So the affiliates came, they did exactly what they said they would do. They did it in a timely fashion, and they got out of there. Well, the person they're talking to is measuring their relationship with their realtor right then and there. They're like, well, wait a minute, this sack hadn't done anything for me. I got a Christmas card from him with a picture of him and his family that said, let me know when I can sell your house again or something like that. I'm like, well, then maybe you need to call my guy. Maybe your guy sucks. I don't know. But those conversations, they're taking place. And he does suck, right? Like, he doesn't have any affiliates or any connections in the community. Like, that does suck. Like, what are you doing, man? That's where I think, like Benjamin said, we need quality service, but we need affirmations from other people than those that are like directly in our business, right? Like if somebody from hometown talks about another hometown agent, the talk's gonna be positive. But when some gruff contractor shows up at your house and they're singing your realtor's praises, it does carry a little bit of different weight. And this stuff is out there happening. I think instead of ignoring it, it's better to embrace it and find a way to adapt. So let's talk a little bit about networking groups. By show of hands, who runs a networking group, has run a networking group, or wants to run a networking group in the future? So a few of you. Who wants to start one in the future, but is not currently in one right now? Let's cut it out. Benjamin, what do you feel like the biggest pitfall is with networking groups? If you had to come up with one.
This is gonna sound interesting coming from me, but impatience.
Patience. Is there, in y'all's opinion, is there a lot of transparency in networking groups? Should be, for sure.
Depends on the group.
100%. Those of you that are in groups right now, do you feel like the relationships are crystal clear in terms of reciprocity and who does what? Thank you, Benjamin. Benjamin says yes. How about everybody else? Yeah? Ish? Ish is probably more accurate, and Benjamin being a rare breed like he is, and also impatient, I'm sure has willed some things into existence. My, all I have is my history, and we started a group within 212. We found the governing committee pretty easily. They were all in. Like, this was a group of people that was transparent, agreed on the reciprocity, and then as the group grew to 12, 16, 20, and above 20, it really started to feel like things were getting out of control. And subgroups formed. And with those subgroups, philosophies formed. Then all of a sudden it was kind of like, hey, wait a minute. For us to get on the same page, we need to have some come to Jesus meeting where we figure all this out together. I don't think that's the best philosophy. I don't think backing into it is the best way. But I think what you do up front in a networking group is the most important. And if you haven't done that up front, just know that there's still time. But the biggest thing about networking groups, it's a reverse pop by for you with a group of people once a week. If you have once a week meetings, you have a group of people coming to you. That's a lot easier than going out and doing X number of pop buys in the community. So realize, first and foremost, it's a group of people that are coming to you and you're the realtor source. That in itself is positive. They become, if trained properly, just like clients. They become an unpaid sales force. You've cultivated not just business relationships, but friendships from networking groups, right? Mm-hmm. But was it done without frequent, clear conversations, expectation setting, and sometimes nipping some stuff in the bud?
Yeah, of course.
What's notorious in networking groups, though, is not wanting to make waves. And so not wanting to make waves results in sweeping stuff under the rug. When your rug ends up having so much crap under it, nobody can not trip over it. So I'm gonna try to kind of give you some tips to clean some of that crap out. If you're starting up, or if you're in the early life, let's say the first year or less, you need to grade your communication. The communication that your primary group, like if it's 212, it's a governing committee, I'm sure B&I has a name, but the governing committee needs to get together, clarify the mission of the group, and clarify that they are on relationship with each other. You might have an insurance person, a realtor, and a lender as the big three. And that's kind of a tough big three to have because it's in everybody's best interest to have more than one of these things if you're gonna be successful. But where's the value? Is it gonna be referrals? Is it gonna be quality service? Have these conversations, have they even taken place? So there needs to be transparent communication. There needs to be a pure written division of responsibilities. When this happens, who does what? When we're not meeting this, who does what? When stats say this, what are we gonna do? And then you need to talk about the opportunity for reciprocity. This is like a missing conversation in real estate where we think as realtors we should give, and other than a client in our database, never even ask for reciprocity. I'm just asking you to define what it looks like. Hey, we're gonna agree today that it's gonna be hard for me to send you every referral I've got because of how my business is structured. But I'm also not expecting every referral that you've got. However, quarterly, we're gonna sit down together and make sure that we're supporting each other's businesses in every way, shape, or form that we can, hoping that some of those are referrals. but quality service and anything else that we agreed on will certainly do. If you get your group going and you feel like you've got a good core nucleus, everybody's running together, the next opportunity is growth, and everybody wants to grow the biggest group possible because that's how you're going to do the most business. I disagree with that philosophy. I think you need to grow at an increment that's suitable to your group. So if you add 10, what's a good word for it? Every word I have in my head right now has profanity. I can't give you those.
Say
So
it,
like
Larry.
Bozos.
Just say.
bozos. If you recruit 10 bozos, they're gonna waste time, they're gonna ruin your group, and they're gonna piss everybody off. Add one quality person over the 10 bozos all day long, and then tell the 9 that don't make it to run along. Tell them to run along and tell them that if there's an opportunity with your group, this is kind of what it looks like. But, you know, like Dean said, no bozos allowed. So growing comes through interviews. Who's gonna do the interviews? With my group, I realized that we didn't kind of have that agreed on up front, and they decided that if it was something that was gonna be a hard conversation or a bad interaction, that Larry was gonna take care of it. If that jives with your personality, which it does, I have no problem with that whatsoever, cool. But if that's not who you are, you need to talk with your governing committee. You need to find out who's gonna be that person, right? Because it's coming and you need to handle it when the time comes. Thorough interviews, transparent communication, and ask every new member how this person served the group. In networking, I can tell that people show up and they're like, how can the group serve me? And from a selfish standpoint, they should think about that, right? But you're running a networking group. You should be thinking about the group. How does this person help the group? How do they make us better? Not what can we all do for this person. It actually should be more of the opposite. Why, I use the word reciprocity a lot. Why do you think that reciprocity is important? Somebody other than
Everything's equal. You're giving something, like in the back, so.
it's a way to measure the potential worth of a relationship for sure.
I kind of think it fosters a sense of trust as well. Like, I got your back. I don't know. It's just, I try really hard to, I gave a referral to someone and I followed up with my friend and I was like, hey, I just wanted to check in on your experience working with them. How did it go? And I feel like just making sure that you're working with people who are going to take care of you and they're going to do the same for you eventually. It's like, I don't know, it's trust.
Well, how nice is it? You're right, Ariel. How nice is it to know that you make that call, right? But that call is a formality. You know what the client's gonna say.
Yeah.
You know the guy knocked it out of the park, or the
For
gal
sure.
knocked it out of the park, right? But it's continual affirmations of trust for everybody involved, and those affirmations are needed because trust wanes. You know, they have an experience with another contractor and it didn't go as well. Well, then they start to think that all HVAC contractors aren't on the up and up or anything like that. But when you have reciprocity with a client, with an affiliate, there's a certain amount that has been kind of agreed upon from an integrity standpoint. And there's only 2 things that can happen from there. One is the integrity continues, the relationship continues, and everything's fine. The other is the integrity gets measured, it's not there, and there needs to be a new affiliate to fill that role. I mean, it's really the only 2 things that can happen there.
Larry, I think it comes down to value as well. So if you're in the group and you're buying in and you're really feeling like, hey, I'm going out of my way to try to refer these people and to be advocates for these other people, and ultimately, you know, you feel like no one is really doing that part or doing their part for you or for other members of the group, then one of the reasons the group fails is, well, it's easy for me to miss a meeting because I just don't see value in it, and so I'm going to go do something else, or maybe I'm going to not try to refer these people. So the more equal reciprocity that there is, then everybody gets fired up about being there because there's just huge value.
100%. And it's known, it's discussed, and it's almost like felt. Like that energy is felt because you know that everybody in the room is on mission. Like we're all on mission together versus these 4 people are trying to do everything they can to build their businesses, but they don't utilize their resources to help others in the group. It's one of those things I think where once you have your systems down and the conversations are clear, you can, from an integrity standpoint, be an example for your group that others will want to follow. So you give, you connect, you do all these things, you become the example, and then the idea is hopefully it becomes contagious. I'm gonna try to tell y'all a little bit about business mixers and then segue that into something that we've got going on later this month. So the business mixers, I think they're beneficial because not a ton of people do them. Client appreciation events for a lot of realtors are just staples in a calendar, but I don't know a ton of realtors. I know maybe 4 to 6 realtors that host consistent vendor or affiliate events. I think there's some value there, although you're not going to necessarily get the reciprocity that you might get from your database, but you will secure quality contractors, and again, you will be able to get in front of this large group at one time. In this case, though, you'll be the source, and you'll be the one making connections. So it is kind of a chance to provide value a different way. And I thought what I would do is tell you a little bit about what our model is, and have y'all troubleshoot it, invite y'all to the event, and then from there talk to you a little bit about your potential marketing calendar for the coming year. So what we do as a team, we sit down, I think 30 to 45 days before when we want to host the event, and we kind of go through all of our affiliates and vendors. And the idea is that we just don't really want more than 2 of the same industry present, just for exclusivity. And so you compile that list, Excel, Google Sheets, whatever you end up using, and then it's calls. It's reaching out, checking on the guys, how the holidays go, how's business going. I like a certain amount of small talk before you get right into it, and then just let them know, like, I've got an event coming up, it's for you guys, it's something I do annually. We're hosting a business mixer, what is it, 24th, 26th, 20, neither of those, in between. So it's gonna be on the 25th at Oak Lawn. We're gonna have a couple coolers there, a couple of drinks just to kind of get everybody loosened up a little bit. But really what we're gonna be doing that night is we're gonna be making some key introductions. I'm gonna have probably between 60 and 75 business owners there. The main reason that you're invited is because you're one of the 2 from the HVAC industry that we wanted to come out. You think you can make it? Well, contractors always have so much going on that they can't potentially span their future out as long as they should. And again, I'm prepared for that, right? So I'm not planning on getting an RSVP from, like, look, I'm gonna call you about it next week, get your final RSVP, I just wanted to put the bug in your ear. I just put myself on the hook to make a call next week too, and I think those are the types of things that we need to be doing. Put yourself on the hook, make some calls next week. You got to make calls then too. So we get RSVPs, and let's say we get 70% of what we thought we were going to get RSVPs. We end up around 35 to 40 business professionals. That's actually a pretty good number to stay at, because with our formula, it becomes very time consuming and nearly impossible to make the introductions we want to make. So the day of the event comes, we do kind of like a 30-minute happy hour, aka 30 minutes to drink a couple of drinks, loosen up a little bit, stop being so scared of everybody. And then literally I have everybody line up in the perimeter of wherever we are. I mean, we've done them at gyms and restaurants and event centers and everything, just literally like in this room, line them up in the perimeter. 6th grade Sadie Hawkins dance. Your name, your industry, what you do, and who you're looking to meet today. It sounds kind of stupid, right? It sounds really elementary, but what we find happens is this person doesn't want to meet the people, 2 and 3 people from him or her. He already knows them. That's his comfort zone. But when he or she hears what this person does, and it's a need that this person has, Well, now I have the ability to make that connection, or they connect themselves. And then we try to have a piece that's a catalyst to it all, where everybody that's RSVP'd, yes, we give everybody a breakdown of it, name, company, contact info, what they do for a living, in case people aren't brave enough to make that introduction that day, they can send an email or do something much more passive when the event is done. And so that's a pretty basic model. We typically get sponsors. It doesn't cost me or the team any money whatsoever, and it gives us a chance to be connected. So we have them to the mixer, we get everybody introduced, and then we do another 30 to 45 minute happy hour and just kind of let people go, wrap it up, and then it's follow-up from there. Like, the same sheet I give them is what I use for follow-up. Thanks for coming. I'll be keeping you in mind for referrals this year. I don't know if any other realtors are doing this kind of stuff for you, but just keep in mind that we try to go above and beyond for you guys as vendors whenever you can. We're counting on you guys to do the same thing for our clients anytime we send somebody your way. We just occupied a lot of mind space for about 2 months. Like, it might not sound that way, but the promo timeline starts early, and there's still communication after the mixer. So, 60 days of communication to stock your affiliate database. I would say maybe think about planning a business mixer if you don't already have 12 to 15 contractors to refer people to. I've been in real estate over 15 years. I had to send an email out, I think like 2 days ago, to get a couple of contractor referrals. It's pretty shitty. Of me, like, kind of like old Larry, not like new Larry, you know. But maybe you're like me. Maybe you're better than me. I hope you are. But if you can't go to your desk right now and any of your generic referrals that most clients need, if you don't already have somebody, go find them. And if you're having a hard time finding them, plan a small business mixer. I've told this story too many times. I'm trying not to be the story guy, but like, my first business mixer was at Capitol Ale House in the billiards room, because they didn't charge you any money to do it. And they told me as long as I stood at the door and didn't let anybody else in, it would be my private room. And so we created a private room. Rodney came, nobody else came until like 2 minutes before the event. I've told people this, I cried in the bathroom. I was like, they told me to step out of my comfort zone. They told me to plan these things. They told me it would work. There's nobody effing here. And, we'll cry in the bathroom. You go outside and you got a packed room of people, because people want to support you. People are generally good, but they don't know what to do if you don't give them some direction. They don't know to refer to you if they don't understand reciprocity. They might just be a good old boy that's been serving in the plumbing industry for 35 years, and then all this business stuff is new to them. Train them up, befriend them, find common ground, and then just let them know at the end of the day, you're about serving them in hopes that when they can, they'll serve you too. Any questions about business mixers or my really intricate slide? All right, well, good deal. So to help you guys take tangible action, one of the things I always try to do if I teach a class is screw up technology. All right, here we go. Is to give you something tangible that you can actually work with. This is cumbersome in my opinion. This is a lot. Let me back up and say, I have done every category every month for years before. That might be good for you. I discovered it wasn't good for me. It's too much to focus on, and I like to do a few things really well versus a lot of stuff as well as I can. So what you'll see up top, this might be a little blurry, but I'll read it to you. The first is a reason to call. If you have any type of event, congratulations, you just got a reason to call too, right? So we've got a business mixer in January. We've also got annual reviews and some stuff. But January's calls are covered. Pop-by gift idea. Since we're doing B2B and not client appreciation, we're passing on a pop-by gift this month. Future months, Valentine's Day, pop-bys, all that good stuff. Video email message. I've discovered this year, and y'all tell me if you agree or not, I've discovered that actually some of the videos that I send out get opened a lot more than your generic emails and stuff like that. The Buffini CRM tracks all that stuff, and the video openings are almost double the email openings. I think I've kind of gotten stale in my database with emails. Client party, date and theme. Business mixer, date and theme. B2B endorsement of the month. If you have a business mixer, maybe you just got 12 businesses, so your B2B features for the next year are covered. Easy money. Something else you can let them know that you're doing for them. Additional marketing, neighborhood mailers, door knocking, stuff like that. I don't even know what that last part says. Personal days?
1 day vacation.
Personal development, events and training. And then the last one is number of days off or vacation. You just cross that last one out until you get your stuff squared away. So, I personally believe that you should be doing something for your clients or affiliates every month. It might seem like overkill. I didn't say like go buy them Thanksgiving pies every month and break the bank and all that. But you can get in front of them. You can host business mixers. You can host small batch events, right? 4, 6 people from like-minded groups. There's a lot of different stuff that you can do. But I'm gonna send this out after class. And what I would like you to do is I'd like you to send it back to me. I'd like you to fill it out. If you don't do it, how will I ever know, right? But I'll know who's in by the ones that print this out and actually start planning your year. If you're like some of us, heck, all this stuff's already planned. You just write it down in the blanks and send it to me, and you look like student of the year. But my hope is that anybody that feels like they're behind the 8 ball right now, let that go. Like, just let it go. This is everything that you need for your year right there if you're just willing to do it. And if you don't have the affiliates right now, go find them. If your database is too small, grow it. But you're not gonna do any of that until you start taking some action, and most of that is direct communication. Any questions? Any questions? Who's gonna do a client event this year? Should be everybody, right? Who's gonna do a B2B event this year? Okay, all right. 1 out of 4 ain't bad. If you have any questions about any of this,
You said on your B2B event where you're inviting usually 2 of the affiliate contractors or something from each line of work, and then you also get sponsors. How do you do the sponsors? Are the sponsors some of the people that are there, or who's sponsoring the event?
What we typically try to do is we try to look, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, it's just a philosophy, but we try to look at who we supported the most last year and just say, hey, great year last year, we want to keep it going, don't really see much reason we wouldn't. We want you to be one of our sponsors at the next business mixer. You've been to these things before. We kind of want you to take maybe a next level role at this one if you're willing. Y'all don't go easy on me. Come on now. All right. Well, what we got on time?
1:30.
All right. That's good enough for me if it's good enough for y'all.
That's great.
All right.
Gives
Y'all
us
go
20
sell
minutes to
something.
get those out.
Huh?
Gives us 20 minutes to get those out.
See, Brittany's thinking. She already got hers filled out.
Larry, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.